because that's what it's worth.
That's smart move right there.
Hey guys, it is Scotch 4 Dummies
Hey, what's
live
going on?
Thursday night.
All four of us.
We're all
How
here.
about that? We got
Yeah, the whole
important
crew.
stuff to talk
We
about.
do have important
Yeah.
stuff. We always
But
have.
first,
Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers to you
See
guys in
everybody.
Scotchland tonight and with our chat. Cheers to you. What's in your glass, chat? What you drinking? Hopefully something good.
I'm having
What are you having?
Dalmore.
Dalmore
12.
Deanston Virgin Oak for me.
Okay,
Same here.
that's a good start.
Yeah.
I may switch to that.
We had a
Deanston.
lot to choose from since the topic tonight. We're not really bound to one specific type
Nope.
of Scotch or
If it was
No.
aged in wood, that means it's fair game, right?
That's pretty much where we're going to land.
Pretty much.
It's going to be a fun night.
It is.
Do we want to give shout outs to everybody before we get started?
at least say hello.
Might as well. Steve
All right.
A's on. Steve A. Me, my wife, and whiskey.
Hi, Ethan.
Mr. Quiz winner. Tamar, good to see you. Joe is on.
Joe.
And by the
Lucky
way,
Joe.
announcement, trivia has taken a new leap for our
What?
shows. Yes. We have a trivia squad, S4D trivia squad. It's Joe
Awesome.
and Justin Boyer. They have
Oh,
taken
my.
on the trivia. Even I have
Oh,
not seen it.
Crud.
So it's going to be interesting.
It's going to be a lot of
Their goal,
mispronunciation.
fingers.
And
Yeah,
Goal to
like what?
expose our dumminess.
Dumminess. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys
I
doing that as
love
well. Malt Mania, good to see you.
Chuck.
Stephen Hearn, Mr.
yeah.
California.
Yeah.
Mr. California.
Yeah, happy Thursday.
It's
Hope you
still
guys are
early
doing
there.
well. Yeah,
I see Steven
on,
Rogers.
that's right. Stephen's on.
Steve A has a Glenmoe Palo Cortado
Ryan.
cask.
Yeah. Bo
Corey
Ryan,
Ryan.
Ardbeg, Corey Vrecken. Oh,
That's a
nice.
strong drink.
see if
Aren't they
Sam Batch
scorched?
7.
Tom
There we
R's
go.
drinking a peated whiskey.
No.
Scorch. Well, it's
No.
a big scorch, so
That's what he said.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Tamdu Batch
I
7.
haven't had that one in a minute.
Tam do Batch
7.
7.
Have we even had Batch 7?
Yes.
I-
I haven't had
have.
Tam do in so long. We should probably go find someone that has some.
Mm-hmm.
I know
wonder-
someone that
Hey,
drank
Sean.
it all the
Wonder
last
who has
batch.
some.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
But speaking of someone might have some, Sean, what's going on for tonight?
All right, so we're talking about barrels tonight, and we're gonna walk through the life cycle of the barrel from the tree all the way through to what it might end up
Holy
as
cow. Going
at the
deep.
end. Yeah, so we're gonna touch on a lot of topics that are probably like we're gonna graze over the top of some things, right? Like,
Okay.
unless you want to show us how you steam bend white oak. To,
I would
to
like
get
to
it
see
into the
that,
barrel
Andrew.
shape.
Shoot, I didn't save that video to my phone.
Yeah,
I was doing it
You
the
didn't
other
bring it
day,
with you? Like,
and I forgot to bring that video.
It's all right. It's all
What do you
right.
use, a bidet?
I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can do. Those are pretty versatile tools.
Well, so let's kind of talk through a little bit. Like we've been doing this a while, and there's been some bottles that we've gotten that had specific trees. I was thinking of
Yes.
that Glenmoe.
A star.
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I've actually got a bottle at home, I think.
Oh, I love that bottle. That's
and
one
it's
of
really
my
good.
favorite.
But they were extremely particular about their trees, like where they were from.
North side of the slope.
Yeah, like they had like a long list of things. Most people are not going to get that picky, but a lot of barrels start out as American white oak, what we call
Alba's Dumbledore. No,
close enough.
It's a Quercus alba.
Yeah,
Quercus
there you go.
alba.
I mean, you missed it. The timing was there.
American-
He teed it up.
And I left it.
I know. We even talked about it.
Speliosis.
Quercus alba is the American oak tree.
So the American white oak, the reason that this is so prevalent in whiskey is because of the bourbon market having a rule that they have to use
That's right.
a new oak barrel every time they
Every
put
time.
whiskey in. So these barrels are going to last a long time, and you've got to find something else to do with them because they've got a lot of life left after that first round. So American white oak is going to be very common. Some other things that you're going to find, European oak. Okay.
That's the Quercus robur.
There you go.
Over.
We've got French
By
oak.
robot.
And all of these trees are going to give you just a little bit different flavor profile, but similar good containment as far as a vessel goes for holding liquid, right? Like
Yep.
that's the most important thing about a barrel is it's got to hold the stuff inside it.
It's a whiskey vessel.
Exactly.
Why is oak so prevalent then?
So oak has a very tight grain, So it's not very porous.
Okay.
And it's a sturdy wood, and it's especially the American white oak is pretty easy to work with because it's all held together with joinery. Okay, so there's no nails, there's no screws, there's no glue. It's all just tension and
Which is crazy.
Yeah. So, and if you've never messed around with barrels before, so I brought a barrel stave that I have in. I've got a stack.
Just
of
sitting
barrels.
around the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Drew, if you can pull the camera up so I can see. So you've got, this is a stave from a barrel that I broke down. So there's the charred inside that I actually kind of scraped off. So it's not quite so messy to work with. But as you can see, it's pretty thick.
You can still see the lines
The
too.
liquid
Yeah.
line,
How
yeah.
deep the liquid
Yeah.
went into the wood.
And this is from a bourbon barrel, so this was only used once. So you can see that when they do the shave toasting recharring that we'll talk about later, there's a lot of wood actually on here, and the charring doesn't really go down all that far. So you could easily shave this off and toast it and rechar it.
And there's different levels of
Yeah,
toasting as
but
well.
then on the outside here, you can see where the bands were on on the
To
barrel.
hold the barrel together, yeah.
So they had 4 or 5 bands on there, and then on the ends they've got this little notch that
And one of these guys fits in it.
yeah, one of the barrel heads. So that's the notch is where the barrel heads go. But there's no glue, there's no anything. If you ever take apart a barrel, you've got to get a cold chisel to knock the steel bands off, and it will stay together basically until the last band falls off. And once you cut the last band, the whole thing just collapses
Just
into a
falls
pile
apart.
of wood. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. But until that last band comes off, there's still so much tension and pressure. And it's white oak, so it's tough, sturdy wood. So it's not just going to fall apart.
Yeah, I know.
Well, it's heavy.
Yeah, I know a lot of actually wooden boats, they use oak for that very reason. It is solid, it's sturdy, and the beauty is it expands just enough to tighten up all those joints. And it's the same thing that happens in a barrel. There, you may have a little bit of leakage in a barrel initially, but as that liquid soaks into it, the wood expands and it just becomes literally watertight.
Yep.
And so it actually gets tighter the more wet it gets. So with a wooden boat, you need to keep them in the water to keep all those seams tight, because if you pull it out and let it dry out, then those seams open up and you've got a problem.
You got a leaky boat.
You got a leaky boat.
Nobody needs that.
Yeah.
So, so the process of making the barrel is going to start with selecting your wood. So there's lots of different kinds of wood that you can pick from, and obviously depending on where you're at, that's going to probably determine which kind of wood you're going to use, at least initially, right? Like you're not shipping a bunch of raw American oak over to France to build wine casks, probably.
Sure. Yeah.
So let's start with an American oak tree. They're going to cut it down. They're going to split this oak into staves. They're going to leave it outside to season for 1 to 3 years. That gets some of the harsh, bitter chemicals to kind of naturally decompose out of the wood. And at that point, they're ready to make a barrel. And that is probably more an art than anything else. Like
So the aging process or the making of the barrel?
No, the making of
So
the
let's talk
barrel.
about the aging process a little bit. So these are green cut trees. They're all wet. They're all full of sap and everything like that. And that aging process, what all does that do to the wood itself? Does it, is it just drying it out so we get
That's
all the
what I was
sap
gonna
out of
say.
it?
Yeah.
So it's going to dry it out, but it's also going to allow some of the natural chemical components in the wood to start to just break down over time.
I see.
Right?
The sun and
so
the
the
air
sun and
and-
the air, and
yeah.
it's just going to air it out, dry it out, because you want it to be dry. You don't
They
want it to
they
be
cover
wet.
it up then. They don't want to get wet. Okay.
Yep. Some companies will kiln dry to kind of speed
I
the
see.
process
Yeah, yeah.
up.
Okay.
But a lot of the stuff that I saw was like, if you really want decent wood, you just leave it out for a few years. It's going to get
the
there.
best
It's
thing.
amazing how that time and the oxygen and the sun and everything just pulls
Right.
everything
And
out.
just in general, I mean, it seems like something that you can't rush. If you're making lumber for a house, you can
Sure.
get
Kiln
away
dry
with
it.
it. But this is going to be a flavor component in a food product, essentially. So you want to make sure that it's handled the correct way. It's kind of like dry aging a steak.
Oh, that's a good,
We want
good
to just
analogy. Yeah.
wait for it. It's going to get there, but you got to be patient.
Don't be too hasty.
Exactly. So you're going to stack up a bunch of wood and just kind of let it hang out in the open air.
Like in pallets.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, and you want air flowing in between the staves so that it can actually dry out. You don't want to pack them super close together.
So there's a good picture of
Yeah,
it.
so I'm not going to share because it's too much work right now, but you can Google this as well as we are. But I just pulled up drying staves of wood in the barrel, and it's a really cool image of a ton of pallets that are I don't even know how tall, probably 20 feet tall,
At least
10 feet long.
10
Yeah.
feet wide.
Just sitting in sun.
Just sitting in the sun. But
Just
but
aging
interesting.
out
Do
there.
they rotate them? And I would assume so, probably.
That I didn't see a lot about, but I'm assuming that you're going to have to maybe rotate a little bit, but they're spread out enough that I'm
You
guessing
got
that they just
airflow and
start
sun. Yeah.
pulling them. As long as they're not packed super close together, it'd be fine.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, the thing is also to note, you've got this curved, bendy, kind of weird shaped piece of wood here. Those are all just flat, straight,
They're flat right now.
Right.
flat boards.
Right.
They're
Right.
all lined out.
So it gets its shape during the coopering process. So they're going to use heat and they're going to use steam, well, water turning into steam, to help bend and shape the oak into the form that you need it to be. I've never visited a cooperage. Have you guys ever been to a cooperage?
I have not.
I'd
to do
love
the
to
tour?
go, but no.
I have seen carpenters bending a piece of white oak into a staircase rail.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. That's an offline story.
Yeah.
But it's a process, and if you're applying heat and you're applying moisture, you can kind of force the white oak into the shape that you want it to be.
The thing that's interesting about the staves is that the edges are cut sideways. But it's not like a straight. It's like
It's kind of bowed.
it's bowed.
Yeah.
It's
to,
like,
to adjust for the bow of the barrel.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It bulged in the center. So I don't know how they cut that
Well, and it's
shape.
It's fatter at the top than it is
It
on
is.
the inside.
So they've got they take the board, they cut
Angle
angles
it.
in it to take for the shape, but then they also like have a curve on the outside to make it so it fits the barrel.
Shape of a barrel.
Yeah.
they're master craftsmen.
I agree.
Like,
It's an art for sure.
I mean, it takes them a long time to learn how to do this because you've got staves of different shapes and sizes, and you're kind of fitting it and forming it to just make it the way it needs to be to form itself into a barrel. And you're using some tension to help kind of pull things together. You've got to toast and char the insides. So there's fire involved. So there's a lot that goes into the barrel process itself.
Do they ever toast and not char? Have you ever
So there was
there
some, I saw some things where it was just doing barrel research where they're like, well, we don't do anything at all to these barrels, or we toast them, but we
Wow.
don't char them.
Okay.
So for not necessarily whiskeys, but for other,
So for wines and things, maybe
Yeah.
they just char them to get the vanillas out, but not.
well, for wine, they're just putting it in.
Oh,
They're making a barrel and in you go, because they don't want the char.
so what does
Here,
why
hold
do
on.
they age it?
Real quick, we
Okay.
got a super chat
Wow,
here.
no.
Oh,
A
hey.
hefty one at that from
Joe,
Burt.
you
Thank you,
need
sir.
to do that.
Damn, you don't need to do that.
You're just busting your chops, my friend.
Yeah.
It's good.
We
to
just
see it.
appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you though, Joe. That's
Drink a dram of
awesome.
something nice. So what do we
Appreciate
got
you.
that's nice that we can drink here?
We'll drink something nice, and
A
then
little
we
Caribbean rum cake.
yeah, go for that. This is 16 year back there actually.
What?
We had a question too. God, there's so many people talking in the
Belgian
chat.
French oak.
Where is it? I think Tom R asked a question earlier. I don't see it quickly, but termites.
What about termites? There it is.
You find it? Okay, yeah. So I guess termites could always be a problem, but I'm assuming that they're going to be pretty on top of that,
Yeah, I would think that it's more like just trimming.
unless
parts
they're
off
already
of
in the wood.
Yeah.
But
Well, the other thing about termites is they need like moisture and like no sun. So putting them out
Oh,
like
yeah.
they do, where
It's
they're
a
exposed
rotting
to the,
process that they
Yeah,
they
they
really
like-
feed on.
the way termites get into a house is they create like a mud corridor, and then they get into the wood where it's not dried out and not exposed to the sun and all that kind of stuff. So
there you go.
so that process removes the potential. What's this?
Wow,
Not
Tom.
wrong.
I'm trying to give Sean his space to talk
Yeah.
about
it's the longest
wood.
I've ever seen Mark when he's not talking.
You wanna talk
Mark's,
about-
Mark's
No,
paying
no.
attention. He's learning,
I'm
as
being-
am I.
I'm being a good.
All right.
Oh, man.
Love it.
So
That's cool.
we could go back to the barrel making process, I think, on another show, but we're talking about the life cycle of the barrel today.
Man,
Good call
I was,
out.
I was,
Today
was-
I
it
was
is
asking
easy
too many
geeking about
questions.
that, yeah.
So
All right.
So here's the deal. So now we've got a barrel, okay? And we're going to fill it up with bourbon because we made a bourbon barrel. It's American oak.
Okay.
So how long are we going to age this thing?
It's got to be, well,
4 years,
2
6
to
years?
8 years, maybe, depending
Yeah.
on the
where? The location of it?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
All the above.
In the
So-
Dunning House, right?
So one thing that was interesting, I don't know if any of you out there heard or saw the 60 Minutes episode on barrels. That they had
Fantastic.
just this last week or so, I think
It's
it was.
on our Discord channel. We put it out there.
Yeah. So they went to Bardstown, I think is what you said,
I think so.
and they fill 5,000 barrels a week.
it's a lot
So
of dead
imagine
trees, man.
the number of trees, the amount of work that goes into creating one barrel, and they fill 5,000 a week, and they are currently storing like 14 million barrels.
Seems like a lot of barrels.
It's a lot. of
Seems like a
barrels.
lot of trees, man.
Or maybe that's just that's in Kentucky alone.
I think
14 million
yeah.
barrels, yeah. But
That sounds
5,000
like-
a week.
The point is, these cooperages, they're making a crap ton of
I
barrels.
can't imagine
A
making
lot.
5,000 handcrafted things a week.
One
Well,
of
That's
the
just for
things,
one distiller.
And since bourbon can only use them once, you're making a single-use product for that particular industry over and over and over again.
well, thank
Do you-
God there's recycling. In
Do you
the
know
industry.
why you have to use a new barrel?
The rules.
Talk to me.
Because the cooperages lobbied for it.
Oh, back
So
in the day.
it's political.
Yeah.
So that's the reason there's the rule.
Yeah.
The rule in bourbon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Turns out, you could still have carriage makers if they had lobbied the right people, I
Right.
guess,
How,
right?
how long
You
has
are
that
not
been
allowed
standing?
to put an engine in a
Jeez.
carriage. Come on.
Because making barrels, like the craft of making barrels, I mean, we used some technology now, but it's the same craft that it was 300 years ago.
And so that was back in the day when it was 1913 or something when that rule came. I don't remember when that rule came in. So maybe you could clarify that.
You know what? I forgot to look up the exact date.
The day that bourbon was
Yep.
defined.
Someone in chat will post it
But
for us.
yeah.
Thousands of years. They've been using oak barrels for shipping everything for thousands of years.
Because
Right.
they work.
And they work, and they've used them for biscuits and not automotive parts,
biscuits.
but parts and metal and whiskey and food and pork and all these kind of things that were stored in barrels. But at that point, refrigeration took over, and so barrels weren't needed as much.
I mean, they don't even really use the barrels to ship whiskey anymore. Spirits. I mean, they do.
Correct.
I mean, they
But that-
usually
that
put
was
them in
the point
stainless
is-
steel.
in that era, the barrel making was falling away because people were using plastic or metal and they were
Right.
refrigerating
Yep.
it, and they didn't need barrels anymore. So all of a sudden, the barrel industry was like, "Oh no, what's going to happen?"
Yep. keeps you useful when you legally have to use. You can only use this once. And you gotta throw it
Yeah.
away. So, but the barrels themselves are valuable, and
Oh,
the bourbon industry doesn't want to pay a lot of money for this barrel and then just throw it out. Like, what are you going to do with all these barrels? So a lot of them get shipped around the world. Scotland takes a ton of barrels.
Of course they do.
So we're gonna say that our hypothetical barrel is on a journey across the pond to go
Ooh,
to
I
Scotland,
like it.
right?
I like it.
And ex-bourbon barrels are like the workhorse in Scotland.
Completely, yes.
This particular barrel is going to get filled up and then emptied and then filled up again, then emptied, and probably filled up again and emptied. So, you're talking 12 years, 15 years, maybe as long as 50 years
But in reality,
per batch.
is it as sexy as that? In other words, in today's day and age, I think when the bourbon houses or distilleries are done with them, they actually break the barrels down and ship them to Scotland, broken down, and they're rebuilt over there.
Some do.
Sometimes. So the labor to reassemble a barrel sometimes doesn't make it worth it. It's
But the
weird.
shipping cost to send them empty,
It's a balance.
Yeah.
Because if they're broken down, then you got to resort and reassemble all those staves. Or if they're in the barrel and they're still integral, I take it off the truck, I fill it. It's one of those that can be pretty fast. So
I mean, most
Some
of
do.
these Scotch distilleries have contracts with your bourbon distilleries. So even if,
Oh, that's-
let's say,
yeah.
distillery in Scotland buys strictly from Maker's Mark, Maker's Mark can break all those barrels down. They get over in Scotland, they rebuild them. They're still Maker's Mark.
Yeah,
barrels.
it doesn't make a difference.
Oh,
there.
for-
Still had
That's
the
true.
same
Yeah.
contents in it.
It's coming back here from
But-
Scotland and other
Right.
places.
You're having to pay somebody to break the barrel down, and you're having to pay somebody to reassemble the barrel.
Rebuild the barrel.
And
Check the
that is
staves.
a complex process. It's not as simple as just grabbing, a bunch of staves. Like each barrel is some are 25 staves, some are 28 staves. Like
Yeah,
it
depends on the
it depends
diameter.
on the thickness of the staves, and so that's a craft unto itself.
Yes.
And you're also letting the wood dry out again. So if it's in barrel form,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
the barrels that I bought used still have whiskey in them.
Yeah.
Like
So when they empty them, there's still like 2 gallons of whiskey in that barrel, either in the wood or that they can't get out. So there's still a lot of whiskey in there that you want to keep in there.
So that's a way for people to buy alcohol that can't really buy alcohol. Just
Sure.
buy old
Just
barrels.
squeeze.
You end up with mason jars filled with it like that.
it's woody. It's woody.
Splintery.
So our barrel's on a journey from Bourbon. It's made its way over to Scotland.
So before it goes to Scotland, how old is it now? So the tree was cut down. It was aged for
So
a couple of years.
You've got 2 or 3 years where it's drying.
and
And then you've got the barrel making process, so however long it takes them to, but they're burning
months, a
through
month.
barrels, so they're going to be getting it off the pile as soon as
and
they
then
can.
so it's already 2 years 2 to 5 years so we'll assume 3 years. So it's like 5 years old already before it even gets to Scotland.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And
So
then we put some scotch in it.
so now we're going to put scotch
Scotchy
in it,
scotch.
and let's say it's a nice 12-year-old because that
Oh,
seems
wow.
Well, it's
plausible,
not scotch
right?
when we put it in, but
It's true.
So you're dumping that out. You're going to refill it.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
Nobody-
another 12-year, and then that third time, it's kind of a spent barrel, and I'm hoping it's Dalmore.
No,
You're
well-
going to fill that spent barrel up with Dalmore juice, and you're going to let it sit for a while.
for 20 or 30 years because
Yeah.
it can
Yeah,
in a spent barrel
yeah,
like
it's not
that.
gonna
gonna
over
get
oak, it's not
over
gonna-
right.
yeah, it's just going to mellow and chill out in that nice barrel for, let's call it 30 years, right?
That's
So,
great.
so
age.
now we're a 60-year-old barrel, right? And so you guys were talking about the guy that was looking at the barrels that his grandfather had made.
Yes.
And a lot of times cooperages are a family affair.
Mhm.
So you can go over and see stuff that your grandfather and your great-grandfather made that's still sitting in a dunnage that's a useful product still.
Well,
It's still in use.
and if we get out of the whiskey industry and talk about oak barrels, you go into some of those sherry bodegas. They got spent barrels that are 300 years old
Yep.
because
Oh,
that's
wow.
Insane.
they don't want oak influence in the sherry wine. And-
Right.
So
So they
that-
want
so
spent.
they Solera them, or they just keep reusing it.
They
I don't-
keep reusing them
Oh,
old
yeah.
ones. So when you
Wow.
see some, a scotch that's been in an ex sherry cat, it's been matured in an PX cask, right?
Mm.
Those casks that a PX cask that they used weren't the cream of
No.
the crop casks
No.
from that bodega because they're not
Yeah.
coming off of them.
They may be whiskey season.
Or it's sherry seasons.
Yeah,
Seasoned.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're getting, maybe just some old wine barrels, and they're filling them up with sherry or port or
And that
whatever.
sherry that was in it,
Ex-bourbon
they're
and-
using to make vinegar or something like that. They're
Yep.
not. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
But you just need the
bottle wine.
basic flavors.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
So, but the barrels are always expensive. So then we get to the end of that, and it's been used 3 times. Now what do we do with it?
Make it into furniture.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Do
like,
something else with it.
Now,
I'm
now
like,
we're gonna
power our still.
shave, toast, and re-char this barrel.
Get it back to
and
life.
we're gonna get 3 more uses out
Oh
of this.
my
Oh
goodness.
no way!
Right?
Yeah, I
So-
guess we could do that.
So you're gonna take this crusty layer off, right?
And shave that all
And
off.
then you're gonna just toast and re-char just like you would for a new barrel.
Yep.
And you end up with a slightly, thinner stave, but you're ready to go again.
And there's still some liquid left from whatever it had before. All these things, right? I mean, now you're charring
Probably.
it and toasting it, but I'm sure something's probably going to
But
seep.
yeah, I mean, you can see how deep
Right?
the whiskey penetrated on this barrel, and it's nowhere near the shaving, toasting, and re-charring level. So there's still some stuff in here.
It's fascinating too. I've seen quite a few videos from the old days until recent how automated the charring piece is now. It's like even in that 60 minutes, it's like whoosh, it's like so quickly done and it's perfection every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
You want
crazy.
an
how
alligator
good
char?
they
You
are
want a
at that.
1 char? You want a 3
Yep.
char?
They know exactly.
They got it down to a science, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because they know how much moisture content you've got in the wood. They understand the coopering process. Like it's
and-
quality control
and-
now.
One cooperage is making 10,000 barrels a week. something
Right.
like
Well,
that.
and then there's also a point to note the size difference between an American standard barrel and a barrel over in Europe. The size is a little bit different, but they do take ex-bourbon barrels and make them into the smaller ones that when they get them over, they're broken down, they'll convert them into smaller.
And bigger too. So with this angle, you start with American standard barrel, but you can go up to what is a hogshead.
I think so.
It's a little bit bigger diameter, but the angle.
You use
Close
like a
enough.
couple of
It's
extra
close enough.
staves,
And it'll
you
still
put a few
seal
more
it.
staves, you get another 25 or 30 liters or something into it,
Right.
and then you can still use it. Yeah.
Which is, when we talk about the size of the barrels, I mean, honestly, the larger the barrel, the less influence the wood has
Correct.
on the liquid in it. So some of these distilleries are taking it and making them into smaller barrels if they can.
Oh,
if
like
they can
quarter
get away. I don't know if you can cut this into a quarter cask.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can.
I bet if you're a cooper, you can.
I
Well,
wouldn't
sure.
put it past those guys.
If
They
you know what
they're
you're doing, like, can you imagine trying to shape this wood once it's bent and
But you
cut
know,
like this? Ugh.
you were talking about how there's no glue, there's no nails, there's no staples. This is all pressure and it's held together with bands. To talk about that, the tops, the butts, we've gotten some over the years, picking barrel bottles and whatnot. And Patrick, who's done this work for us, some of these are tongue and groove. There's nothing holding the wood together here. When you take it apart, that whole top will just come across its tongue and groove. Some use
So each the tongue and groove between the boards.
the boards
Yep.
of the top.
Yeah.
Some of them use
Little pegs.
pegs to hold them, in it as well. But there's no glue in that. The only thing that's holding it is, like you said, this little bitty
the pressure
Rim-
and then
and
the
that
expansion due to
that
liquid.
ring.
It's a Rubik's cube of whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's a fascinating process because it's the pressure of the bands and the wood trying to straighten itself out, right? Because it's like a spring,
yeah.
right?
The tree's not letting go.
And so you've got the bands around to hold it together, and then the liquid goes on the inside and swells up the wood and prevents it from leaking, and that's the end.
So one thing that I didn't even think about until we got into this conversation, but when we went to Virginia Distilling Company, to pick a barrel, we went in the Dunnage house and she had samples pulled for us. We pulled samples right there. Do you guys remember how that David pulled the sample
He
from
drilled.
He drilled a
Oh, that
little
was
hole and
crazy.
put a little pop,
Right.
So companies,
And that's normal.
I know, but a lot of them also will just pull a bung and stick the.
That's the
the
way
thief
I'd
in
always
there
done
and-
it until we went to Virginia.
So those barrels that they're popping little holes in, are they diminishing the use of that barrel
Yep.
in the future? Because
I would
mean,
think so.
if I'm a Scotch distillery, I don't want a barrel that's been drilled into.
That's a good question.
That's a good.
actually.
Well,
That's true.
And those little dowel rods that they were hammering back in are not
They're
going to
nothing
be
special.
nearly as
No.
Right, they're
sturdy
just,
as this. Like to me, that's something you would do. Like it's getting close, right? It's going to be within the next month or two.
I'll
and
pop
I'm
a
gonna-
hole in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna just drill it and I'll see what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good point because those staves that they drilled hole into are done.
Well,
And
that's
they
what I'm
can
saying.
use those
Maybe,
staves
maybe they know in the process it's fine because they'll just when they tear it down, or if they tear it down, they'll just put new staves in or something, or use staves in its place.
Or they know they're breaking those barrels down regardless, and
regardless,
just
right.
shipping them that way. So it doesn't really matter. If
That's an
it's,
interesting point. I never thought about that.
I thought about it when they were drilling it. I'm like,
The poor barrel.
What are you doing with this drill? But I guess it works, right?
Dave jumped on that thing, and popped a hole in that barrel in a heartbeat.
He didn't even think. He's like, okay, let's go.
So now we've aged our whiskey in Scotland 3 times. We've shaved, we toasted, we recharred, we filled the barrel up a couple more times, and we've basically gotten all the flavor components out of this wood that we can possibly get out. And now we're looking at 70, 80-year-old barrel, something like that, right? And so now what are you going to do with this thing? Well, there's lots of things
Firewood?
you can do with it.
Make fraternity
Well,
barrels.
you laugh about that, but one of the things that you use, and I use shavings of this, is for smoking because it's an ex-whiskey barrel.
Oh, like smoking meat and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
that's a good
Even
idea.
like pellets and stuff.
I don't know about
you
pellets.
You just take chunks. You just take chunks of
the
that,
char.
soak it,
but
and throw
just
it in
soak
the
it and throw it in the
your
fire.
smoker.
Yeah,
So you get
Oh,
nice, rich American
I
oak.
see.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Bourbon.
yeah.
And
bourbon
it's got
smell. Yeah.
the whiskey influence in the oak. So that's pretty common.
Oh wow!
Right?
I hadn't seen
But
that.
but you can also make all kinds of things, right? We got this nice barrel
Right.
in back here. So you know,
What about
home
whiskey
decor.
whiskey box, whiskey
Yep.
Bottle boxes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
You
got,
got some badass bar
I've got
stools.
bar stools at my house
Yeah.
that I made out of whiskey staves.
Wall clocks.
All kinds of like, you know, kitchen-y lazy Susans and wine racks and you know anything
Glass
you can think
holders.
of.
I mean,
Yeah, cutting boards.
Even
I've
if
seen coasters.
Even if you don't want to get crafty like that, you can reuse the barrel for holding contents otherwise, you know what I mean? Whether it's a water holder out, you know, catching rainwater. Who knows?
Yeah,
you
that's
can use
true
them as
too.
planters. I mean, you don't have to be able to break it down and make something out of it. You can just use it as it's still a barrel.
Or if,
Exactly.
or if you're, you know, down in Texas, you could just ride it like Mark did. And
Do you
Yeah,
have a
man.
picture that we can share?
Giddy up.
That was awesome. That's good.
That was a good time.
So there's a lot of different things you can use this wood for. So I mean, at first you think that it's kind of a waste to cut down this tree for this single-use barrel that's just going through the bourbon industry, but then it ends up lasting 100 years. or
Right, it
more.
has a
Well, see,
life.
that's an interesting. It's got a productive life for 100 years, whereas the trees we're cutting down for paper are like, oh,
well,
let me write. Oh no, that's not a good idea. You
Right.
throw it out.
well, and think about this. Where we're talking about the many years of the barrel itself. That tree
Was
took
100 years old.
100 years to grow.
Right,
So
Right.
So is that the minimum age, or what age?
No,
do we
but you want a pretty big oak tree, and you know the American forests are pretty big, you know, and they're trying to make this a sustainable product because they're 14 million barrels in
year?
Kentucky,
Yeah, sitting
right? And
there full.
they're gonna have to replenish those, in every 5 years or so.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of wood that they're going to have to go through. So they're constantly planting and harvesting, and it's a crop. It's just a longer time frame on
it's
that.
a
that's the long game right
Right.
there.
That's a long age crop.
So
yeah.
you're planting that stuff and you're letting it grow. So it's a process and it's an industry.
So you talked about the oak barrel. I just had a glass of this Balvenie French oak 16-year, and it's delicious. You want some of that?
Yeah.
French oak. So talk to me about like
The
differences
oaks.
on oaks.
All right. So American oak.
Quercus Albus Dumbledore.
We're talking about vanillins, right? Like,
Vanillins. Okay.
Okay.
that's the most common flavor component, I guess.
Okay.
There's others that are a little more subtle.
Caramels and
Sure.
okay. Go ahead.
So then French oak.
That would be Quercus siciliflora or Quercus petrea.
So those are going to be
Very well done.
usually wine casks, and then there'll be a secondary use for Scotch.
So we don't typically put Scotch in new French oak.
We don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. So cinnamons and nutmegs and things like that. Not as tannic as the American cousin, I guess, would be.
So that makes sense for wine,
Yes.
that you would have that less tannin influence. Yeah.
So we talked about what Balvenie, Glenmorangie has some.
Well, there's a lot of European quote unquote European oak. Is that the same thing as French oak? I mean, is that?
I think
that a
they're actually
subset?
two different varieties.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I think.
Cousins.
Oh, that's probably the.
Yeah. Scroll up.
That's probably the Ciciflora versus the Petrea.
The-
Oh no,
Those are European oak,
there's a
yeah.
European oak.
Robor.
Rebor.
Real
Quercus iRobot.
There you go.
The burr.
So this would be the sherry cask oak.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Muy bien.
Looser grain, more porous than the American oak, but you're going to get nuts and spices and leather.
And that's a
things out of that.
bolder, more tannic. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Oloroso, Pedro Ximenez,
Right.
a
Fino.
little more tannic,
So-
closer to the tie.
that's what that.
So if I
that's what I've
remember-
seen. Go ahead.
If I remember the dispersion pattern, I guess for the European oak, it's like Spain and Portugal, and then like
Oh.
Mediterranean,
It-
like little
yeah.
spots.
Italy and
Yeah.
okay,
And then the French oak is more of northern varieties.
northern
So
French, Germany.
Distilleries like
Yeah.
Macallan, Glendronach, Dalmore, typical high
the
use
European
of
oak, yeah.
European oak.
Yep. So, but you're not going to get the vanillas that like a bourbon drinker would
That's right.
associate
That's right.
with one of their
Right.
whiskeys, right?
Yes, because that's what I remember when I think of European oak. I think of a spicier whiskey, and that would explain it.
Yeah.
based on the components in that.
Well, I think the European oak actually influences a little bit more sulfur on it as well.
Or to the tannins.
Whatever,
The tire.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it.
So if you cut down a
Rubber tree
European
plant.
oak, it smells like a rubber tire.
It's rubber tree
Just
plant.
saying, the whiskey
It's a
that's
rubber
made in
tree.
it-
That's what it is.
Oh, now you're getting dirty-minded.
We're taking a
No,
turn
not
for the
that.
worst here.
I'm thinking like tire
This
rubber.
is good.
Oh,
Isn't it delicious? It's so
Yeah.
good. It's expensive, but it's good.
Sip
Damn it.
slowly. It's fine.
So wine and fortified wine casks, right? So like
Yeah.
those are just various oaks.
Port Madeira, like whatever they're using in that particular industry. Sauternes casks, everybody's favorite here.
Yeah.
right?
I like Sauternes.
All right.
Mark does not.
Mark,
they're
whatever,
all right.
man.
There's a time and place.
It's fine. It's
What was
fine.
the first one we did? The Sauternes that
It was a Tullibardine or
No.
No, Glenmoe had one. The Nectar d'Or was Sauternes.
was it the first one we did?
Mm-hmm. Think so.
There was a Tullibardine one. There was a 500, a 228, and a something else. And one of them was
225.
225. Yeah, it's a good call, Drew. Look at
Maybe.
you.
Maybe.
Hey.
So Mizunara oak, you don't see
Quercus mongolica.
exactly.
What?
Native to Japan. It is rare, expensive, and apparently hard to work with.
Oh, yeah?
From what I understand, Mizunara oak doesn't exactly grow like the great American white oak that goes to 200 years old and it's tall and prestigious. It kind of tends to curve a little more twisted. It just
A little
doesn't.
more twisted.
It's
Fair.
brittle.
Yeah.
Brittle.
So you got to be on your game as a cooper to deal with this nonsense. Right?
Yes.
Okay. But you're going to get sandalwood and some different kinds of spices, coconut.
Tiny bit of smoke, probably.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Smoke from it. Yeah, that's interesting.
Probably subtle.
Subtle. Jeez.
Jesus.
What the hell?
Stupid.
So that is that. So a lot of the Japanese whiskeys are what you see that in. So Suntory and Nika and things like that. is where-
Yamazaki.
Well, that's why
Yeah.
they say it's so high expensive too, because it's ridiculous. But are they saying it mostly because of that, or is it more marketing?
and I would be interested to see is how well do Mizunara oak casks, how much life do you get out of them?
I'm going to guess not a lot.
Well, that's what I'm worried
Because
about.
if it's that porous, I have to think it's softer wood, and probably not as.
And do they
the life
do they
probably isn't
char
as-
it and
gently with a match.
yeah?
Whoa,
Do
too
they-
much.
Do they toast and char it with like
Visual was wonderful.
a hair dryer? We don't want to get too hot on this.
I mean,
yeah.
Little heat gun.
Yeah, you don't want it to fall apart on you, man. But
Feel
I don't know how tall those trees get. So I'm guessing it's a
What are you trying to
shorter
say, Sean?
varietal. So then there's all the experimental woods that we've had the peach wood,
Like peachwood, yeah.
Yeah.
We've done
but,
that.
Can't have a show without peachwood.
chestnut, maple, acacia,
Wow, that's odd.
cherry.
Interesting.
I would do cherry. That'd probably be okay.
Cherry
I
wood.
don't know, man.
Are they allowed? Are you allowed to put certain whiskeys in those? So,
I mean, if nobody's looking, probably.
well,
Do whatever you want to do,
that's the
man.
question. You know, I don't know if Scotch is allowed in those.
Well, Scotch
woods,
is
are they?
not.
No,
Okay, so
But
it would be
somebody
American
out there
whiskeys
is-
or,
American single malt probably good.
just some random, you know.
and you can finish in certain other barrels
Yeah.
probably.
It's probably more of why would you and what's the price of.
Yeah, what's the value? What
at a
flavors are
certain
you
point
pulling?
you go with what's easy to produce and.
Yeah.
Well, when
business.
outside of just the cask, there are distilleries, especially in the States, that are experimenting with woods that aren't just the cask. They're putting chips in it, or they're doing.
that's true.
What's the Octave series that you've got of Scotch?
Yeah,
What's
that's in a much small. That's like an eighth of a barrel size. They make a barrel out of it, an eighth size barrel,
Okay.
eighth volume. So it's like a high surface area to volume,
okay.
and that wood just like drives in the
So
flavor.
how many bottles do you get out of that?
Not very many.
Like,
I mean, it's an eighth of a volume, so
so maybe 15?
yeah,
10,
15, 20 barrels
15?
or bottles per barrel.
Jesus.
They just make a bunch of them.
200.
That's why they're $150 a bottle for not very old whiskey.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I think as whiskey lovers, just to kind of wrap things up a little bit, we need to say thank you to the humble oak tree for imparting all
Aw.
the flavor in our glasses
Yes.
and, you know, giving itself 100 years of life to to bring us the things
To the
that we love.
trees.
To the trees.
To the ends.
Boy,
Oh, my bad.
we're very
Tree beard. Oh, shit.
very earth friendly.
Oh, that's Lord of the Rings. I got you on that one.
Is today Arbor Day? Is that why we did this?
No,
Oh, no, it's
barrel day.
Hand me
first, I
that, that. I just did a ball of any
Humma.
16. Give me the 14, the rum.
the Caribbean cask.
Yeah. Caribbean cask.
Not rum cask.
That's Caribbean.
Caribbean.
it's all good.
Interesting topic, though. I
This,
mean,
this
it's
is
one of those
delicious.
things where you kind of, and I will encourage you guys to, if you haven't, it doesn't talk through the details as much as we did tonight, but the 60 Minutes episode is really great to kind of give you a visual of some of the things that the cooperage just does as far as the whiskey making process. And it's the journey, what you talked about tonight, man, it's a big deal.
It's a lot. We could probably dive into sections of what we talked about
Oh,
tonight.
for
Like,
sure.
We could just talk about the trees for an hour.
Well, yeah, I mean, we
least.
didn't even start at acorn, really. I mean, that's
Yeah.
where it starts. I mean, if you go way back, how long did it take to grow that tree? I mean, and then
I can't tell if he's joking or if he's being serious.
Well,
keep you on your toes, see?
wait till you find out that we're sending you to a cooperage to learn how to do this.
I'm down with it, man.
Oh, that would be a lot
I'm
of
down
work,
with
but it'd be a great time.
It's going to be awesome.
You'd end up the day tired as anything, but man,
Whooped.
so worth it. You'd be whooped by the end of the day. All
That sounds
all
fun
that
to me.
hammering.
That has got to be a hard job.
Yeah,
Like, it's hot.
I'm done
hammering,
at it.
hammering those rings on.
Done after the first
Hammer time.
splinter. I'm out. Got a splinter.
I got a splinter. I'm out.
Man, your whole hand's
I'm
gonna
out,
be
Jerry.
splinters.
I'm out, Jerry.
Can I
I
work
still,
the toaster?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus. I still think one of
Yeah.
my favorite stories, just twisting back to the tree comment, like there's some really interesting stories and the whole A Star piece, like it's in Missouri, I think, right?
Yeah,
The-
it's a
Yeah.
little-
and it's just such a cool concept of those trees, and they've been growing them for like they're purposely growing them for years just so they can make them to special
yeah.
casks.
So the
For
thing,
Glenmoe.
I,
For Glenmoe.
that was one of my favorite bottles ever. And they talk about they take only trees from the Missouri Ozarks from the north side of the slopes. So because they're on the north side, they don't get as much sunlight. So the trees grow much slower. And thus the grain in the wood here that you see along the edge here is much tighter. And you get, like on a fast growing southern slope, you may get 6 rings per inch, whereas on the north slope, you may be 11 or 12 rings per inch.
That's crazy.
Right.
And so it's a much slower process. It allows the wood to really
Well, I
mature
think-
better. And
I
then
think
they
it had to get taller too because it was getting less sun, so they didn't have as many knots in the wood because
Oh,
the
that's a good- I
branches
didn't-
Had to
didn't come
grow
out.
higher.
That's
to get more
possible.
sun.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good. I didn't think about that.
Kind of like in Mirkwood.
Mirkwood.
Yeah, the trees went really high. You couldn't get any sun in Mirkwood Forest. All right, you have to read the
Either-
book.
He just has to be here.
Which book is that?
Lord of the Rings.
Go to the
Um,
Hobbit.
Peter, thanks for putting that
All
song on my head now. The Rush.
I read the comment too.
Oh
I
my
was staying
God.
away from it.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
Earworm for you.
Thanks. Appreciate that. To the trees, but cool concept. We always like to try to get a little educational, informative in our show. And
Little
that
geeky.
was a little geeky. That
Some-
was good.
sometimes anyway.
We try to. Sometimes we're just stupid. But that was cool. Appreciate that one.
Yeah, good topic, man. It was fun.
That's
I would
awesome.
definitely like to take you up on the cooperage visit, though.
That
I
would
would
be
love to do it, too.
awesome. That
Like
would be a lot
couture.
of fun. We'll go to Missouri. We'll go to the. So when I first left college in the mid '90s, to age myself,
Whoa.
one of the jobs I looked at was as an engineer at a cooperage in just outside of, I think it was Lebanon, Missouri, and they have a huge cooperage there, and they need engineers to help keep everything running. And that was actually a potential for me to go work there, which would have been fortuitous because that whole work, I wouldn't have ended up here talking to you guys,
Oh,
but
thank
it'd have
God
been a
for
very
that.
different
Oh my God!
Man,
right.
sarcasm. Like it. So that would have been interesting to work there. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that one of the staves that we chopped up for our little
Mm-hmm.
hanging label things?
Yep. I've still got a few. So I
think I
You
have
remember
half
when you broke that down? Your garage smelled.
Oh,
it smelled like, was
like
it
a
Jim
distillery.
Beam?
Whole house
Jim Beam
smelled like
cask or
whiskey for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah,
it
it
was. I had a. What were they?
Was that
I think I had a
Maker's?
Maker's
I thought it
Mark.
was
Maker's
maybe?
Mark. Yeah.
And I had. I think
One
the
other
other
one.
one was. I don't remember where the other one was from.
I thought one was Jim Beam, but I may be
It
wrong.
might have been.
I may be wrong.
I don't
It
know.
smelled very
Yeah, it was
strong.
like,
It smelled like
Wow.
booze. If you
remember
live close enough to bourbon country, you can get them.
Well, I remember
that's true.
hearing them. Bang, bang,
All right.
bang.
Boys, let's give a couple samples away. What do you think about that?
All right.
Yeah.
What are we going to sample?
Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Let's do the 16. This is a special bottle
Yeah,
right there.
that's delicious.
Sample that.
The
and then
Balvenie French
let's-
French oak.
Yeah, that's a really a
And
16-year-old.
I don't think we have any Star left.
I don't think we
have
do.
any at the house.
No.
and I think we drank it all.
She's all
It's
gone.
So good.
Well, what else we got
All right.
here? How about nah, that's basic. These are basic here. Pick one back there. We'll give 2 away.
Start spinning.
Eeny, meeny, miny, go. Don't think long. You think wrong.
I don't know what truly.
All right, I'm going to spin one when you guys pick one
Well,
off the shelf
we
back
could
there.
put a sample of our bottle out there because that was purely bourbon oak, bourbon cask
the
finished.
Virgin. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, hopefully.
But everyone's got a bottle.
Well,
of that,
yeah,
hopefully.
that's easy to get, so you can buy one of those if you want it.
JTS Brown.
JTS Brown. It's a White Walker over there.
Well, let's
Going for $12 a
let's
bottle.
spin 2 for
Costs us
the
more to
French
ship
oak
the
'cause
sample.
that's
2 for the
unique.
16.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see who will win the round 1.
Spin it, man.
All right. Here we go.
Well, that was a good spin.
You like
too.
it?
I felt it. That was
Who do you think it's gonna
good.
be?
That was real nice, Clark.
Oh, it's gonna be Michael Porter.
I'll
Michael
be
Porter gets a
doggone.
bottle of the
A Hoosier.
1 ounce
Diggity
sample of the
dog.
French oak.
that
That's
one we
Joe.
can. We'll have to make a good excuse to go see him.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
I
enjoy
think
it.
he has good whiskey too. That'd be good to
Oh
see.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We gonna do 2 of those?
Yeah, let's do 2.
Double down.
Yeah.
Double
Unless we
down.
have something else, yeah. But
Yeah. Nothing that's jumping out.
Erica Miles.
Erica Miles.
Erica.
All right.
Erica's
Hey.
a French elk.
New winner.
Congrats.
All right, that makes you feel good.
This is a good
All
one.
All right.
Yeah.
We good?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations on those patrons. Appreciate your support and everything else. Are you guys ready for some little trivia?
I don't know,
Trivia.
man.
Well,
I'm a
this
little
is gonna
nervous.
be tough because we have no idea what we're getting ourselves
That's
into.
a
Yeah.
problem. That's a problem with us not.
Do we have a
Fun.
topic?
Well, I think it's just normal whiskey trivia,
Just
but
whiskey
they
in general?
did put in, I think, correct some questions based on tonight's topic a little bit too. So there are some barrel questions in there, I believe.
Well, this would be
All right, so
embarrassing when we get them wrong.
Who put this together?
This is a Justin Boyer and Joe Humbart trivia squad group for S4D.
Oh,
Appreciate
man.
your support on that. We've got something going on.
The trivia squad.
They've got a whole thing mastermind put together. It's pretty awesome. So this
That's
is gonna
terrifying.
No.
It's exciting because I haven't seen these. I have no clue.
So if you want to participate in the S4D trivia crew, contact Joe and.
That's right.
If you want to
Get on
participate,
Discord.
right?
Let's get on Discord. But here we go. You
If
guys
you have
ready?
any complaints, you can send it to them too.
Yeah, those are wrong based on their.
Now we all get to read.
That's right.
You can get to read.
All right.
Why don't you lead us off, Drew?
All right. Question 1. What popular Isla distillery reopened in 2001 still operates all distillery equipment manually? A. Ardbeg. B. Bricklatic. C. Bunnahabhain. Or D. Kilkerran. Oh, Kilhoman. Sorry.
Kilkerran.
I wanted to say Kilkerran.
Kilhoman.
Kilhoman.
Manually, see that is not common right now.
Reopened in 2001. That's what's got me.
Right?
I think I've got an answer, but let's let people go through there and see what they say.
I'm going to move this over so we can see the chat.
Reopened.
All right. Here we go.
Everybody's
Here
being-
comes the questions. Here comes the
So
questions.
we've got Brooklady coming through. We've got Kielhoman
How's
coming
Joe
through.
answering when he
We've
wrote
got
it?
Ardbeg coming through.
But Joe actually, I believe in this one, he did not see these.
Oh.
So it's mostly Justin.
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, there's a clue.
Whatever Joe says. I'm going to go.
I like B. I like B. B sounds good.
We got B's and
Everyone
D's.
says D was brand new, so they didn't reopen. Oh.
Exactly. That's
I'm
why I
gonna-
said the
that's-
word
exactly.
reopen.
So I'm going to say B.
I'm going to go B as well.
I like Bunnahabhain though. I'm Bunnahabhain.
All right. So we got all B's across the
Yeah,
board.
we're
here
going
for
B's.
us. Let's see what the answer is here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Little classic latte.
The classic,
Classic latte, some Port Charlotte,
That's right.
some Octave. Or,
Mhm.
All right, Andrew, you ready?
Octomore. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll go next. Why are staves seasoned outside more valuable and expensive than those seasoned in kilns? Oh, we talked about that.
Uh-huh.
So, A, it prevents leaks in the barrels. B, it removes unwanted green and tannic flavors. C, to increase the moisture level, making them more pliable. Or D, it's easier to char and toast them.
Well.
So what are we doing while we're drying those? So kiln drying, I don't know how dry you can get something in a kiln.
Pretty dry.
Yeah, you can.
I would think so.
So you're not going to increase moisture level. Well, so wait, you'll have a higher moisture level if it's seasoned outside, I would think.
So why are staves seasoned outside more valuable? So the outside ones are more valuable.
So that I'd say it has something to do with the sun, and it sounds like it's something to do with B for me, like the green.
I like
and
it's
tannic
either B
flavors.
or C for me.
They have a tan.
So that would be less tannic or more tannic?
I like B again. I think we're 2 for 2 on the Bravos.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah,
I like B as
I
well.
think we
Yeah,
talked
it's
through that the reason you age it is to get rid of those unpleasant flavors. So I think you'd get more of that outside than you would in a kiln.
Everyone's B so far except for Peter. He's saying C. Hey, Peter.
He's going against the grain. You guys get that?
Jeez.
Come
Bad
on,
joke.
man.
Here we go. Oh, it is
It
B.
is B.
I
Yeah,
applaud
those
Peter for
stacks.
throwing out there, but
Air seasoned staves can take up to 3 years to be ready, making them expensive. Distilleries that heavily char their barrels often prefer to dry their staves in a kiln to speed up the process.
right.
Yeah.
Seems like cheating.
It
a
is
little bit.
cheating.
It is.
A wee bit. Question 3. How much liquid can a butt-sized oak barrel absorb into the wood during aging? 5 liters, 10 liters, 15 liters, or 30 liters?
30.
Well, now I got to convert liters to quarts.
Well, and how big is a butt?
A butt?
Oh, you
I
know.
like big.
But yeah, so
Back it up. You know what I mean? What else I got over there? He said, "Wouldn't you?"
well,
back it up?
we got
Want some Macallan? You want this? I know what you want.
well the quintessential cigar malt. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Don't mind if
How
I
much
do.
liquid can a butt-sized oak barrel absorb into the
It's a
wood
big
during
barrel.
So the butt
I'm
sizes
going to
are
say
big.
15.
I think
So-
I'm gonna go D or C as well.
I'm going to say D.
The tough
You're going to think more.
the tough part of it is I want to know how they figured this out, because during aging, how long are we aging it?
Till it's done.
And is how much? How are they saying? I mean, we're
So-
also losing some to evaporation.
Yeah, there
so-
is a capacity of a sponge. It can only hold so much.
Right.
So
Well,
if it's
That's
2
a pretty
years
good
or
size barrel.
20 years, you can't get more into it.
I'm going for broke with the big dog.
You with me?
Go on
Yeah,
with
man.
30.
we got
I
two
like
C's
30.
and 2 D's.
Two C's,
The
two
Yeah,
D's.
chat's the chat's with the C's and D's right now. No one's saying
Oh,
A or
there's a
B.
lot of. I'd say there's.
All right.
It's not fully convinced yet.
Let's see what we got here. Oh,
Son of a
15
gun.
liters. So
Looks like they
almost
made a
4
mistake
gallons.
where
So-
they put the check mark.
Man, Fonda ain't
So
got
I
no
kn- I
motor in the
know-
back of her Honda.
we
Jesus.
we talked that
Dun, dun, dun,
an
dun,
American
dun, dun.
an American standard barrel can hold a couple gallons, so that'd be that 10. But the butt is so much bigger. That's why we're
Right.
15. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right.
What you tell yourself?
Next up, bring it on. Question 4. What type of wood native to the west coast of the U.S. has been used in the wine industry for many years, but only recently has begun to be used in whiskey maturation? A. American white oak.
Quercus albus tumbador.
B. Chestnut.
On a rope and fire.
C. Cecil oak.
Quercus expecto patronum.
And D. Oregon oak.
Quercus Gariana.
You gave up on the last
I'm not
one.
that creative.
Well, I know this one.
I'm going
know,
Delta.
This
It's Oregon
this
oak,
is
baby.
dude. Let the people decide before you try.
I
and
don't
give it.
know it.
West coast of U.S. Well, I mean, obviously Oregon's.
So we
there.
didn't talk about Quercus Gariana. Well, and what is the Quercus Petrea? Did we talk about Petrea?
Mm-mm.
Wow, the chat's all over this one. D D D D D D D. Oh, it's a C.
Tom
Tom.
says C. He's
Yeah.
going Cecil.
So I know there are some distilleries that use Gariana oak, and
Yeah, I do know that too.
they happen to be in the Pacific Northwest.
That's
So
correct.
I gotta.
That's
Think
where
that-
Oregon's at, yeah.
Is that where Oregon
I'll be
is?
damned. Yeah.
Man.
I'm gonna go with
I
D.
thought Washington was on the West Coast or the East
We all
Coast.
D's here.
Yep.
We're all D. Yeah.
All right,
What we
let's-
got?
Boom.
There we go.
Gariana oak. See, and that's one of the one that's definitely
Can't trick
Oh,
me.
Oregon oak.
McCarthy. That's where I remember having one of those.
Yep.
That's a messed up looking tree.
And Westland, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, blended barrels.
Looks like a barrel to me.
I mean, it's a pretty tree, but you're not getting a lot of good staves out of it.
Molasses,
that's the
coffee,
problem.
smoke, cloves, and sometimes mesquite barbecue flavor.
I cut this tree down, and all I got was 3 staves.
And Justin Boyer has found what the tree really is.
Corcus
Corcus
nordicus.
nordicus. Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, no.
All
right.
Question 5. What designation is given to whiskey by the TTB that is finished in a barrel that held something other than whiskey? A, Scotch whiskey. B, American whiskey. D, distilled spirit specialty. Or a D, blended whiskey.
What?
Wow, TTB's got
What
a special
designation
designation.
is given to a whiskey that's finished?
Special?
They got a lot of weird designations.
Other
That's-
than whiskey.
So it held like either wine or it held brandy or
Beer.
beer. Yeah, you could have beer. So beer finished.
Well, American whiskey it can be finished in a.
I don't know this one.
Joe's abstaining. That's supposed to be his question.
This is a trick question, I believe.
What designation is given to a whiskey that is finished in a barrel that held something other than whiskey?
It's got to be B. It's got to be American whiskey.
That's what
it
I was
is.
thinking.
Because it's got, I mean, it does
There's lots of things. that-
everything.
So what that does is it essentially downgrades it from like a bourbon
Bourbon.
or downgrades it from American single malt or
Well, no, American single malt can be that. You can have American single malt that was
Well,
finished.
that would
that's
be
finished.
American single malt whiskey.
Yeah. So
I'm
it's
going
not
B.
definitely not Scotch. It could be blended too, I mean, quite honestly. But I think
It's got to be B.
I gotta go with B on that.
And
Yeah.
The chat's agreeing, I think, so far.
All
Let's
right.
see. The answer. Oh my gosh.
Distilled spirit specialty
All wine finished bourbons would be categorized this way.
by the TTB.
Huh.
Should be on the label only if the spirits meet all other requirements. Leave it to the TTB
Well,
and the bourbon industry to freaking make things
everybody missed
confusing
that
as
one.
shit.
Yeah, we all missed that one. Damn it.
That don't
Wow.
make a lick of cent.
All right.
Okay.
Steve says C now.
All right.
I actually was thinking C at first
I
because
just
I was
did.
like,
I don't
that
like it.
seems
I don't like it.
like a
Vague
government
enough.
name
Government
for
title.
something, right?
Sounds like the longest answer.
Yeah.
What company's sudden collapse in 1901 led to a whiskey bust that lasted decades? A. James Buchanan and Company. B. Pattison of Leith. C. The Distillers Company. Or D. Dewars.
I gotta
Duder's.
guess. I gotta
Duder's.
guess. I'm feeling pretty good.
Are you?
Yeah, man.
1901 bust.
Yeah.
I think it's B.
That's what I was going to go
I'm
for.
thinking C, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a U.S. Company or is
No.
that a Scotch or a Scottish company?
Scottish?
1901 that led to a bust. So how many distilleries were owned by this company? Do we know? I guess we'll have to find
The
out.
Distillers Company?
We don't know what the
And,
answer
and
is.
down there in the.
Oh, was that in Ireland?
in what?
Is that when all
I
the
don't know. We're gonna
whiskey
find
busts in
out.
Ireland came
Yeah.
through?
That
No,
would be-
that was around Prohibition.
I gotta go.
Eric Waite
C.
says it's the Pattison crash.
Oh, so I'm gonna go.
I already said B, so I'm
Yeah.
sticking with it.
Drew and I are
Eric has
locked
studied
in.
some whiskey history, so that
I would,
may add
whatever Eric
confidence.
says, I would probably put all in money.
If
on,
they name the crash after you, that's the one.
That's
The-
right.
Yeah.
Where's
The,
this
the
plane
Patterson
crash
crash,
going?
named after the Distillers Company, not Patterson's of Leith. All right. So let's answer this. Pattison of Leith, that is a Pattison whiskey. Patterson's of Leith didn't just collapse. Its owners,
Forging-
Robert and Waltler Pattison, were tried and imprisoned for fraud and embezzlement.
Wow, they did it
naughty
up.
boys.
Forging ahead right into
Wow.
the iceberg.
Naughty boys.
Yes, they hit the
All right.
iceberg. Interesting.
What's the longest length of time a barrel has been charred and then used to age whiskey? 1 minute, 1 minute 35 seconds, 2 minutes 45
What
seconds,
in the world?
3 minutes 30 seconds.
That would be a long time to char a barrel.
That's a heavy alligator. Either way, so So when they char, they
Depends on if you're using, as Sean said, what was it, a candle?
Man,
A
match.
a match. Yeah. Well, when you see when you see those charred barrels, they're like bursting with
Yeah.
flames.
They're
coming
not.
out the top.
I think a minute might be the right answer here
I was thinking that too.
because
Like, that's a
you
long
can't
time.
do a long time. And all the other ones with the seconds are just
That's
messing
what
with
she
you.
said.
Here's what I'm gonna say. B is the kind of the odd man out when you look at it.
Yeah.
Like
No one's doing it for 330.
245, 330. Like I'm gonna go B. I'm thinking
It's a
B.
weird number, right? Everything else falls on the nice quarters.
I'm right there with you. I'm going to say if I'm the guy making this, it's going to be exactly 60 seconds. Boom, every time. I don't want to mess with anything odd.
B looks different.
I'm going to stick with A. You're saying B?
Yep. I'm
Yeah,
going
man.
B.
C.
B. Bravo.
I think you could
You're
roast
going with
those
C?
things because I mean think about how thick
it
this
is.
is. So
Yeah, but
if this is a 1 minute char,
You know how
it's
hot
not
those
even.
flames
well,
are?
It's not even.
I took the char off of it, so
Yeah,
it was
that's
probably another
nothing.
quarter inch or so. That was just char.
All right, man.
Let's just see what the answer is.
Let's have a look.
We're all over the place.
245.
So's the chat. Oh my gosh.
330. Holy shite.
Look at the flames coming out.
This
of that
was
thing.
done as an experiment by Buffalo Trace.
Char
and
should've
they
went with
deemed
that.
it char number 7.
Some dumbass said, let's take
Wow.
a long we can char this sucker.
Yeah, and still have
We'll
a
make a
barrel
record.
that will hold.
It'll be in
whiskey.
somebody's trivia.
Exactly.
Char number 7.
How did you
Wow.
even find that one? Jeez.
Random?
Interesting.
All right. Question 8. What distillery is the only one in Scotland that carries out the full production process on site? A. Springbank, B. Bowmore, C. Glenfiddich, or D. Auchentoshan? I'm going to say a smaller distillery, right?
I think it's got to be because what?
I'm
So
gonna
is
go with
that
A.
is that
I'm gonna go
malting
with
of
the
the
bank.
barley,
Yeah.
malting barley all the way through? I guess could you include grain growth? I don't know. You grow the
Springbank
grain.
do
So-
malting on site?
They do. But my question is does this question mean all of their production? I don't think Springbank does all of their production on site. I think they do malt and some barley on site, but they also purchase some
It
malted
doesn't
barley.
say all of their production on site.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
They do the
makes
whole
sense,
process
though.
on
full
site.
production right.
Yeah.
It makes sense for A though because they do so many other bottles there. Like
So this is everything from malting the barley to mashing, distillation, aging, everything.
bottling, yeah. I'm going with A.
It does not include growing, Justin said.
Right.
So we don't. They don't need to grow the grain on site. They just need to take it over from there.
All right.
Little bit planters.
All right.
You guys ready?
Yeah, I'm going A.
Ah,
Springbank.
See?
Look at that dude,
Springbank's workers.
Sean.
9 months, turning 200 pounds of barley into malt. The raking is so intense that the workers typically lose up to 50 pounds over that span.
wow.
And get
I
some monkey
don't
shoulder.
Believe that 50 pounds, dude.
Dude, if I lose 50 pounds, I cease to exist.
If I lose 50 pounds, I look pretty good.
So are they bulking up in the off season?
I guess so.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
All right.
Who's up?
You?
Oh, okay. Question 9. What type of new barrel continually sells the most number of barrels each year worldwide? A, American oak, B, French oak, C, Japanese oak, or D, Spanish oak?
I think this may be an easy question.
Yeah, I
It's
gotta
gotta
go,
be.
go
I mean,
with
come
alpha.
on. A, right?
Yeah.
Gotta. I mean,
I mean,
We
because
thought that was the beginning of the whole
everybody
conversation.
uses American oak for
The
some
start.
of
The-
their
Man,
The only thing that
Pour some of
might
that.
throw a wrench in the works is wine production because they didn't specifically say whiskey. They just said barrels sold.
I
There's
just
a
can't
lot of
imagine
wine out
that,
there.
that France and Spain have the number of the size and number of forests that the United States has.
Do they not use American oak barrels in France and France and Spain and everything? I don't know.
Not right now with the tariffs, but you know they used to.
oh, jeez. Come on.
Well, they don't
man.
have the tariffs against American oak.
All right, let's see.
Yeah.
The chat's all an A here, so it's got to
I
be
think
A.
go A.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look at
Oh, look
that.
at the
Flaming.
fire.
The new whiskey barrel market value is about $2.1 billion, with wine aging making up to 46.9% of sales in 2024. And the American oak makes up 70% of worldwide sales in 2024.
Dude, if you've got land that grows American oak,
Making some money.
you've got to protect that with
You're
everything.
making some money once every 100 years. Hell
Well,
yeah.
and you better
Shut it.
but you better hope that nobody poaches your trees when they're ready to be harvested, because that would be.
So what I'm hearing is we need to start a cooperage. 2.1 billion.
That's a lot of dough.
Right.
All right, next question.
Mark,
Last
you're
one.
gonna have to make a lot,
All right.
lot of barrels.
Question number 10. What region in France provides the most trees used for casks made of French oak? Quercus robur.
Good call.
Nice.
A. Allier. B. Limousine. C. Nevers. Or D. Cognac.
I'm going with
So-
the only one I even know.
I'm glad you got the French pronunciations.
I would have passed in this one. You got to do this one.
Well, I've got an opinion. I'll give the chat a few minutes to catch up.
Yeah,
But
I'm feeling limousine, but I want to go with Nevers just because I've never's gonna know this.
you've never heard of it?
Never.
Never say never.
So I will say I've heard of limousine oak,
I'm calling limousine.
Yeah.
but I don't. That doesn't mean. I mean, cognac region is a thing, but I don't know if they use that many oak
Look,
barrels.
Grady knows what he's talking about. He said limousine. I'm going limousine.
Well, there's a lot
That's
of bees
fair.
coming up there. Yeah, so bees the most common. That's what I would pick, but we'll have to wait for.
I'm gonna
whiskey
go with
masters.
B just because
Because I said
I
something.
originally
know.
said D,
It's okay.
because
but I'm
yeah,
gonna go with B.
because Mark.
That's all
said
right.
too.
Mark knows it all.
We can all be wrong together.
Boom.
How about that?
Limousine
How
oak.
about
Yep.
that?
I believe I am
Limousine-
9 for 10 tonight.
Limousine lies just east of the Cognac region, making the region a popular source for Cognac casks. Spanish oak and French oak are both Q. robur, but Spain's hotter environment leads the wood that is more porous and prone to leaks. Well, you don't want that.
Nobody wants a leaky
So
wood.
they got sad trees.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Well, they probably just grow fast.
Yeah, they're faster
Yeah.
growing.
So did anybody beat Drew? 9 for 10.
I think I got
think,
8.
I think I got 9 for 10. I don't know, maybe 8.
Now you're telling me you can't count. And
I
then
need
I'm
a
supposed to-
Well, I
piece
just
of
don't
paper to
remember.
mark down what I
Yeah,
pick.
I was.
just shoot
I
from
know
the
I
hip.
missed one.
I'm gonna say 70%. I got. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention.
I'm guessing 100% for me because
That seems fair.
Tom's got 7 for 10.
You pronounced all the
Well, if
trees
Tom got
right.
7, then I got 8.
Wow. Wowzer.
That was good trivia.
those are good
Nice
questions.
job, boys.
I like that they're targeted at our topic of the day. That was great.
The trivia squad did well.
Yeah.
Eric says that cognac is natured in limousine.
Limousine
Ah.
oak. Yeah,
I
well, it
wonder
is.
if he
That's
meant
what,
matured,
that's
not
what they
natured.
just said
I don't know.
I'm
Eric, you
guessing-
should write a book, dude. You're pretty knowledgeable.
with whiskey and
Or maybe start a YouTube channel.
with whiskey. Oh, what the hell?
It was good questions though. They were like answerable.
Just
you could
kidding.
figure them out,
They-
but
they-
not so hard that
They weren't
not
crazy.
easy. And yeah, it was
And
good.
the funny thing is, those questions came out before we talked about what we were talking about today. So we didn't even know those questions coming through.
That was
that was-
great.
We may have kind of answered some of them throughout the course of the discussion, but not great.
Thank the boys because that was fun for me to actually
Heck yeah.
participate.
Well done. Very well.
It was fun. And it was
Thank
cool
you.
to talk through it all. So, and
Yeah.
it was cool that it actually hit home with tonight's topic. So,
yeah,
nice
Nice
job
job.
all the way around.
all the way
It was a
around.
fun topic too. It was interesting, and I think everybody learned a little bit. I know I did. It was
Yeah,
fun.
we're gonna learn more stuff and
We keep it
let
coming.
Andrew pronounce all the scientific.
I think Dr.
names.
Scott should be up next. I haven't seen him in a while.
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Which-
we'll see if he's around.
I do want to say, out here on YouTube land, not just to the patrons, because obviously the patrons know that the bottle is out there and available, but the bottle we have been sharing the link out to the general mass public if anybody wants to finish up and grab any of the last remaining bottles that are out there. So if you're looking for our Virginia Distilling Company bottle, it's available. We need to get the link out probably in the show notes or something in the description. Would
Yeah,
be
accept
cool.
that.
Sure.
There you go.
All right.
All right. Well,
Well done,
Cheers to
Sean.
that. Thanks, guys.
Until next week,
until
Until
next
next
week. Cheers. Hey,
Cheers.
happy Easter, everyone.
Yep.
happy Easter. Cheers, everybody.
3, 2, 1.